Hello, my name's Gregory. I'm a wall writer, graffiti writer, a graffiti artist based in London. I've been tagging for probably 20 years. Then I really started getting into doing pieces, so more elaborate stuff over the last few years. So graffiti, letter-based, characters, street art. That's when you start getting more political. It's where you start getting the messages. That's where you get the portraits, the animals. So the difference between graffiti and street art is really quite simple. Most people do not like graffiti because they can't read it. Street art, okay, they work with permission. Graffiti, now if we actually really think about the word graffiti, it actually derives from a Greek word, which I think is pronounced graphene, which means to write. But the graffiti scene is alive and kicking pretty much everywhere in London, but a very brutal place to paint as well. And once upon a time, a lot of the graffiti artists, street artists, would used to have beefs, getting into fights. They wouldn't like each other's work. They would keep going over each other. But nowadays things have started to change a little bit, especially with graffiti becoming more accepted. People starting to take more interest in it. So you'll find that graffiti artists, street artists, are actually working alongside each other now. Right there. The rest of you are quite rude at that. So one of the most important things I will say to them, it would please ask as much as you like. It was painted by an artist called Jim Vision. Now, Jim was actually invited to paint this wall by the owner of the property, which is actually really quite unusual in this neighborhood. Graffiti is by far the oldest art form in the world. You can date it back to the cavemen, the Mayans, the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians. They've all done it. And I'm pretty sure most of you, at some point in your life, has done graffiti. Because if you think back to when you were at school, I'm pretty sure you did write on a school desk, a toilet door, a textbook. If you felt adventurous, maybe on the back of a chair on a bus or a train, you wrote the words, "I was here." The reason we do graffiti and street art, we want fame. We want people to see our work, start talking about us. Especially in graffiti, we want fame within our own subculture. This is why a lot of people do not like graffiti. They don't understand it, they can't read it. That's because graffiti is a very selfish art form. We're not doing it for everyone. We're doing it for our own community, other graffiti writers. Street artists, a lot of the time it's one person going out by themselves and painting, lonely on the street. Graffiti, you call your friends, you take drinks, you take music, and you have a fun day out. You paint alongside each other. Then if it's someone's birthday, you'll go down and you'll do a birthday jam, a paint jam for them. If someone dies, you go out and you paint for them to respect that person, to show that you're still thinking about them, caring for them. We do what we call shout-outs as well in graffiti. So you'll see a lot of the time names in pieces. That could be girlfriends, boyfriends, it could be crew members, people that you don't really get to see very often, living in different cities. The majority of graffiti is illegal. So when you see places like train lines, the side of public buildings, that's illegal. And yeah, the laws are strict. Then, for doing tags, if you get caught, it could be an on-the-spot fine, £80. But it really depends on where you paint. A few years ago, one person got fined £21,000 for one tag. Prison sentences can last up to 10 years for someone doing graffiti. Where we are right now is a legal place. So we're in the middle of a housing project in the States. And this place actually was for a very long time one of the worst estates around. This neighborhood, it was very well known around the United Kingdom for drugs, gun crime. But
It's now become like an art gallery. People are, like I say, from around the world are coming to this place to actually put their art on the walls around here. It really does bring in some of the like top artists that get to come here and paint. Graffiti in mainstream media, then it's funny because the only time they ever really talk about graffiti is when they're talking about Banksy. And you know, you ask like the majority of like the UK to name you like a graffiti artist, they're not going to be able to tell you anyone but Banksy. And if we're honest, he's not the greatest artist that you'll ever see. His concepts are great, where he paints is great, but they don't really portray graffiti in the media, I don't really think. Like if they do, then it's usually like more negative.
Now this is a place that we like to call the Star Yard. Over here you've got a female artist called Carleen de Souza. Now Carleen's only been painting on the street for around about 23 months, almost 2 years now. And she loves painting afros. And this series has made him into the news. I mean ITV News, Sky News, Reuters News, Channel 4 News, everyone's been documenting for it. So this series is called You Are Enough. So I dreamt his English art name, and he's painted his friends, black females. And it's all about celebrating their lives. I find a lot of the keyhole in her pieces. It's all about opening the mind. Knowledge is key.